Good to see so many of you in the waiting room nice and early today. I guess that means people want to know what is going to happen with the FOMC coming up later for Australia. It's going to be 4 a.m. in the morning, so that's not an ideal time, but I have a feeling that's why we're all here. Um, so we will definitely get into that today. Welcome to everyone who's jumping in the chat now. Tom, how are you? Sarah, Dan, Damien, Ben, Jason, what's up, my friend? John, welcome to Not an MM Tier. Melina, Mark, Brad, so many of you here. Good to see you all. Tell me in the comments, are you bearish or bullish post FOMC or no idea? Fair enough to have no idea. Just let me know and we'll get into it. What's going on? I hate the alarm going off at 1 a.m., but this fan makes it better. Yeah, that would suck. What else have we got going on? Bearish, pumpish, bullish after, brokenish. Bearish. I don't know. What's the go? Fair enough. Continue bearish. Okay. Depends on where the liquidity is. Good answer. I'm bearish on BTC, but bullish on TTC. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's have a look at what's going on so far. Obviously, as we know, it is leading into a news event day. This is where a lot of trickery happens. So we definitely need to be careful. Often, this can be a no trade day, but if you're scalping and you're lucky enough to be on our side of the world, there are definitely scalps that can be made well before the news event is actually, due. So we'll have a look at that. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Be sure to smash up that like button nice and early. It really does help me get these videos around the internet. So that more people can see it as we are live. No idea, but I'm excited to be back after a baby. Congratulations. All right, so let's have a look just at a general overview. Looking at the 1 hour time frame on everything that we've got going on so far. On the 1 hour, what we can see at this point in time pretty clearly is that, providing we hold here at the 18,700 kind of region, we have a higher low. We have also fully recovered this 1 hour vector candle right here. This one here is Bitcoin that I'm talking about. So providing we hold this level today, this period here, yesterday's little downtrend, could be a retracement that becomes the inside leg W. But that is very dependent on us not breaking too much further. Now, with a W formation, the second peak of the W, it can come all the way back. However, it can also actually issue a final damage W and still be considered a W. But there are different factors to go into it there. So at this point in time, if it does hold here as a higher low that is in line with this vector candle here, then that's good. However, what we usually like to see when we do have a full vector candle recovery is we like to see a fairly strong bounce out of the move, and we don't have that yet. We seem to just be trickling. Now, we are in the dead zone as I film this, so, we know what that means, but what I would like to see is Asia move us out of this zone to the upside. That's going to give me a little bit more confidence. If I can't get that, it's probably going to be risk off for me today and no trade at all. So very much dependent on us holding this 18.7 level literally from Asia open onwards. Ethereum is the same deal. We can see here that where we're consolidating right now, and I will go into this in a bigger chart in more detail. I'm just giving you an overview. But where we're holding right now currently is a full recovery of this previous vector here as well. So both are on the way to potentially creating W's, but if they create them pre-news, I would expect a post-news dump. So we've got to keep that in mind as well. if we trend up before news, it's actually going to be a little bit scary for post news. When we have a look at S&P and NASDAQ, so these two ones in the center here, S&P is also making its way right now through a previous vector candle zone, but it's creating lower lows, so I don't really like that. With the S&P, I want to see it move up. In addition to that, all these four here are all under their EMAs right now, so that's not ideal. And we need to see them get above their 1 hour EMAs. So that's what I'm going to be looking for on Asia Open. If we continue to reject under the EMAs, then we're bearish. We're probably going to go down further. So all of these are critical to get back above their EMAs, hopefully during Asia, worst case during UK, but hopefully during Asia. Same goes for NASDAQ. Now, but this is the one that I want to talk about the most because I think this one is giving us the bigger hint here, and that is obviously the Dixie. I talked about this yesterday and how this had a chance of creating a Bart Simpson type pattern because it was just ranging. We were at the bottom, as I mentioned that, and I think basically what I said was we need to see if we can get out of this range, whether it's to the downside or the upside. We need this to pick a direction. Since then, we have made a move to the upside and created just a higher high based off the previous high. What we've got going on now is we have this W formation. This here could be very much rise level 1, and this here is the board meeting, an extended board meeting. So if this breaks out now past last week's high of the week and issues more of a move to the upside, then everything else is going to come down. So out of all of the things to watch today, because this one is at resistance right now, that's the one you have to keep an eye on. If you see any trade set up on anything else, before you take it, I beg you, please have a look at this before you take a trade, because this is so close to either breaking out to the upside, or if I zoom in closer to it, let me make it big. If I zoom in closer to it, we also have, what's the tool that I want now? This one. We also have here the chance of 3 hits to the high at the high of the week. So this is literally make or break zone for this. And yeah, I'd be watching to see if we break above this, probably everything else is going to come down. If we reject, perfect, then we've got a chance for everything else to continue up. So close eyes on Dixie today when you're making any decisions for certain. Now let's get a little bit closer into, where do I want to go next? We'll have a look at these. Now we're still in the dead gap zone, so there's not too much to say, but I will talk about one thing that we talked about yesterday. We talked about the daily support level at 18,700-ish, or 18,750 kind of level, and that if price was going to retrace, it would be okay to retrace to that level as long as it held there. We had a chance of more upside. We also talked about price being bearish if it couldn't get back into this zone right here, which it didn't. So for the day, it was bearish. And now we have a situation where we have 1, 2, 3 hits to the daily support, the previous daily support at 18,770. So what we need to see now again is this retracement over? We can see here 1, 2, 3 hits to the low. That day trade is done. And then is this at this point in time a new W formation right here in preparation for a rise level 2 on the 1 hour time frame? So 3 hits to the high on the 15 is 1 hit on the 1 hour. That's rise 1. 3 hits to the low is the retracement. 3 hits to the high on the 15 minute would be a 1 hour rise level 2. I know that's confusing, but that's kind of how it works. So again, all of this is so dependent on price not breaking below this this vector candle right here. It has fully recovered it. So the next step is it has to now shift out of this zone. That's what we're waiting for. Anything below 18,750 is a no trade, in my opinion. But if we can hold above this level today and give us some kind of bullish candlestick confirmations, I would say that we should get a rise too, which would have enough time to happen before FOMC. Unfortunately, if it did, then that is a buy the rumor, potential sell the news after the event situation. So you have to be mindful of that as well. If we get a break to the upside, that's not me saying I'm bullish and we're bullish on FOMC. I'm just saying that it's potential trap for before FOMC. But if you know the trap, you can trade the trap. The only thing that's making me cautious about whether or not this, whilst the model should typically have us breaking out to a rise too, what's making me cautious is that we know that news events affect the model, and that's what we have today. And in addition to that, we have to pay very close attention to retail sentiment right now. And retail is extremely bearish. When we have a look at this sentiment calculator, we're at a 0.2, and generally people are feeling like this FOMC meeting could be the final thing, the final nail in the coffin. You know, I've been watching many stock market analysts online saying, you know, there could be a further 20% dump in the traditional market, which would have a much bigger effect in the crypto market. So what are my thoughts on that? I am open to that being a possibility, whether it's from this current FOMC meeting that's coming up, or it's sometime between now and the end of the year. I kind of agree with the opinion that but it would make better sense. It feels like we are slowly pulling the pin on something and it's just slowly getting worse and worse, where it would be better to just issue the final damage, get it over and done with, and then we all can get back to recovering faster. And that's kind of the choice that we have right now. It's inevitable that things are going to get worse. The only decision is it going to get worse slowly, or are we going to just get it over and done with? That's the only decision. It's bad, right? We know that it's bad, but is it bad for a long time, or are we just going to get a final damage? So that's really all we're waiting on. And the thing is, what's got me a little bit skeptical about, you know, a very dramatic drop from the FOMC announcement when it does come out is everyone's expecting it, number one, and we know what that usually means. And number two is if it comes out really bad and it does, you know, it's meant to cause a massive effect, it's actually going to give that relief to stock market traders who are wanting the final damage to just be done. They actually want it to be done because then they know that's the end of it, right? So if they know that's the end of it, that's when you buy, isn't it? So I'm very, very skeptical. I don't want to put that idea in our heads that, you know, if FOMC comes out at a number of 1 instead of 0.75 or whatever it is, that we're going to dump 20%. Don't do that. Just trade what you see. Because we don't really know how the market is going to react until it happens. So FOMC statement and federal funds rate is at 4 a.m. Melbourne time tomorrow morning, meaning today's price action could get tricky. It could also do nothing, rip the band-aids off. I agree, Wayne. It could also do nothing. So I did see a comment from... it was earlier in the chat. Let me see if I can find it now. Jason said, not financial advice, but, where is it? Not financial advice. What are the odds of the market dumping tomorrow? The odds are 33%. The odds are 33% that the market will dump, 33% that the market will pump, and 33% that the market will go sideways. Those are always the odds. So it doesn't need to be financial advice. We've only got 3 options: up, down, sideways. And we just have to wait and see what happens and trade what we see. But if you're a long-term investor, this is where you put a plan in place. So my plan personally was, if the stock market does dump further 20%, like they're saying is possible, then crypto is probably going to do a lot worse. Can I handle that? Yes, I can. So I don't care. I'm fine. I have, stable coins ready to purchase if the worst happens. And if it doesn't, fine. I have stable coins ready to purchase. So no problem. The worst, that's the best we can do is prepare. We can't really predict how bad it's going to be. One thing I did want to show you, let me see if I can actually bring this chart up on here. About why I'm open to it dumping, but I actually don't mind. Oh, Lord, what is the name of this layout? Wait, hang on a second. I think it's this one. Yes, it is. So I've been tracking the S&P and NASDAQ on the weekly for quite some time now. I think I've covered it on this channel, but I'll go over it very quickly. Having a look at the last Great Recession, we can see here how the last Great Recession for the S&P NASDAQ was the same. Basically followed the model exact. We had an M formation before the recession was officially announced. Then we had a drop into level 1. This here was the 61.8 fib rejection, drop 2, drop 3, W formation. Now, when you have a look at this pattern here and we move across to where we are right now, it very much looks the same. So we have our M formation, we had our almost a 61.8 fib rejection. We're currently in level 2. So if stock market analysts are saying a further 20% drop from here, then that is going to take us down to around this level, which is going to feel as dramatic as the final drop that you saw at the last recession that I just showed you. So that is going to be huge. Are you prepared for that? All I can say to you is be prepared for that. You know, the thing is, the good news is that once it's done, right? So if you are educated on this stuff, which all of you are because you're in here watching, then the best you can do is be prepared, because once it's done, and that's it. Now we get to make smart decisions and invest for the long term, and we will be rewarded in our future. So if you're down for that, smash that like button. I can see there's 174 watching and only 54 who like the idea of getting rich in the future. So that's not ideal. If you like the idea of being rich in the future, smash that like button. Because I tell you, who likes the idea of getting rich in the future is the NASDAQ. And this is what I think is probably the biggest key point that us as crypto traders really should be paying attention to right now. Because if these guys are planning ahead, then we should be as well. So as we can see from this article, NASDAQ is to launch institutional Bitcoin crypto custody services. Now, why would they be doing this? You can see down here it says the exchange is set to enter the crowded market of institutional Bitcoin custody as it aims to become a service provider in the cryptocurrency space. The NASDAQ is seeking to offer custody services to institutions dipping their toes into cryptocurrency. The NASDAQ's new service would bring the company into direct competition with well-established firms such as Coinbase. Now, let's think about this logically. We know from all past cycles, especially from what happened with COVID when we had that big market crash, March 2020, what we know is that cryptocurrency was the fastest to recover. But the thing is, no one really saw that coming, right? Because that was a pandemic. It was unexpected. No one really saw that coming. But we saw that nothing recovered. No other market recovered as fast as cryptocurrency did. So you have to ask yourself, in this situation, we can see a recession coming. We can see a financial crisis coming. So obviously can the big players. So if they're looking to launch into the cryptocurrency space, you have to ask yourself, have they sat down and thought, listen, a crash is inevitable. This is what we're all thinking, right? A crash is inevitable. We can't control that. We can't stop that. But what we can control, what we can plan for is how fast we recover after. Is that why they're moving into crypto, right? Because the history shows that cryptocurrency recovers the fastest. So if that's the case, what I would say is You should work every day to accumulate as much money as you can, however you do that, and have it on the side and be ready, because the life-changing opportunity is coming. Even if we crash, even if like we do a ridiculous crash, like I don't know what, 5K, whatever, let's just put a number out there. But even if we do that, it's a life-changing opportunity. So you have a heads up this time. You didn't have a heads up with Corona. We have it now. So I don't know why anybody would be scared of this. I am so excited by this if it does happen. And if it doesn't, that's fine as well, because we just will get in on the trend change. But, you know, if we have a further crash, it's fine. So that's my little rant for the day, is like, don't be fearful of this. This is the greatest opportunity of all time. So finally, that's all I really have to say about that. Bitcoin, I have gone over. We're basically just waiting to see if this level holds. If it doesn't hold, risk off, sit out. Let's wait till the after FOMC, unless you're already short, which I believe some of you are from yesterday's video. Then you don't have a reason to exit. So that's great as well. With Ethereum, what did we have yesterday? So we had a few stabs into this zone. Would have been a few attempts actually over all of the sessions to go enter a short position. Again, we've also recovered this, but we have not yet broken below. So the critical zone for Ethereum is 1310 right now. If we if we do break it, there is another vector down here. However, it'll be a fairly big retracement, and I kind of I wouldn't, if I was long, I wouldn't stay long. Let me just mark this here. I wouldn't stay long all the way down here. I'd kind of like cut it. But it could be an area, if you're looking for a position, if we do break through this zone, there is another zone here to recover that we may bounce at if we're to move to the upside. But if you're short, so far you're great. What you are in a consolidating area, so you need to just wait and see when Asia opens, if we're going to break down further. Otherwise, it will also be time on your short to take profit as well. We're below the POC, we're below the EMA, so for shorts, at this point in time, it's a great decision. Just be careful of potential bounces, because we are in the zone where this could be a 1 hour higher low, right? Now, let's take a quick look at the heat maps and see if there's any telltale signs going on there at the moment. What have we got? So we've got 1.5. We're looking at Bitcoin here. So 18,550 is a zone. Let's have a look where that lines up on our chart. We'll go back to Bitcoin. 18,550 is going to be a full, almost, 18,550. Okay, that's going to come down into this zone here, which technically would still, if it held there, so if we break the current level and we come down into this zone here, it's still technically going to be a 1 hour, a 1 hour W formation. So just keep that in mind. But the thing is, the more we trend down before FOMC, the better it's going to be for post. So I actually don't mind if we break down today further. So see how you go. If you're in shorts, there's no reason to exit at this point in time unless we shift out of this zone and get above the point of control. But if you are in long positions, well, you should have taken profit already, number one, but you'd be looking for a new setup for a long position, which we want to see if this level holds. If it doesn't, the final level would be this one between 18.5 and 18.6. That's about all I've got for you today. The opportunity from chaos, exactly, Abdul. That's exactly right. Like, I don't think this is a fearful time at all. I think this is massive. What is the miner's price today? Good question. I've got to find that. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can find quickly that here. I don't, just to be clear, with the miner's price, this is not something that I monitor on a daily basis. It's irrelevant for a daily basis because it does fluctuate up and below every day. The only time I watch this is when we're coming from a short-term uptrend and we have a dramatic sell-off. That's the only time I look at the miners price, because I'm looking to see where the dramatic sell-off might hold support. So yeah, just want to be clear about that, because if I zoom into, say, this area, wait, where did it go? If I zoom into this area, you'll see here that the miners price, it does fluctuate above and below price all day, every day. So yeah, it's not a daily thing to watch. It's just an overall during a fairly large sell-off. So it's not the appropriate time to look at it, because we already had the sell-off. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, smash that like button. I'm so glad to see that now 114 of you are looking forward to being rich in the future. Well done to you. The other 80, have fun staying poor. See you tomorrow.